Three types of venting that are emasculating to our husbands. So the first type I want to talk about is venting to your husband about your issues and problems. So I want to dig a little deeper of why is this emasculating to your husband, meaning making him wrong and bad for who he is as a man. It's that manipulation that we pull them in, yet it's a lose-lose situation for them. And then they try to give a solution. And what happens is we make our husbands wrong for who he is as a man, as a problem solver. So when they try to give us a solution, we get so mad when that's just his natural state of who he is. And he's genuinely trying to be helpful. And he's genuinely actually trying to be a good friend by not letting you stay stuck in your victim story and spin in your emotional state and spin in your problems. He's actually coming from a caring, supportive place. And it would probably benefit us ladies to listen to the advice and support our husbands have, since they are natural problem solvers. But we don't want to listen because we want to stay stuck in those problems. The other piece I had to learn, which I never saw before, is that when I would unload on my husband and burden him with my problems and issues, but not let him give me any advice or any solutions, what that ultimately does to a man is it makes him feel like a failure, because he couldn't support us. They couldn't give us advice or solutions, and he feels like he's failed. And then we feel better temporarily because we've let it out, but then they're stuck with the burden of our emotional issues with nothing to do with that. And so it weighs down on them and burdens them. And they have to listen to the same issues over and over. They never get resolved. So they listen day after day after day to the same issues at work, the same issues you're having with your family, the same issues you're having with your friends. And there's nothing they can do about it. It's like their hands are tied behind their back. And what I want good men and just men in general to see is to see your wife is the common denominator. That's what I had to see for myself, that I was the common denominator, that your wife and her issues and problems in her life, the common denominator in those issues is her, that she's the problem, which is a good thing. But if you dare tell her that, the claws come out. But ladies, that's what we have to see for ourselves. We're the common denominator in the problems and issues that are repetitive and cyclical in our lives, which means we are the problem, which is a good thing because we can be the solution. But when we vent and we're airing our stories and perpetuating the problems and emotional issues in our life, again, we're stuck in victim, blaming everyone else and pointing the finger outside of us with no solution. We have no empathy for the burden we're putting on our husbands by venting and airing all of our problems. What's fascinating to me, and we all know this, ladies, is we've all complained about the girlfriend we have who is always venting and always complaining about her life and always stuck in the problems. Yet we turn around, we come home, and that's exactly who we are to our husbands. So it's really, really fascinating to me. So that's the first type of venting that's emasculating to our husbands, making them wrong and bad for who they are as men, being disrespectful. It's just venting and complaining to them in general. I teach my female students, one, you need to learn to take responsibility so you don't feel the need to vent and commiserate and complain and stay stuck in your emotional issues. Two, if you feel like you need to vent, call a girlfriend, but don't vent about your marriage. That's where we're going next. So the second type of venting that is emasculating to our husbands is venting to our girlfriends or our family members about our husband, about the issues and problems in our marriage. It is devastating to men that we would go outside of our marriage to complain about our husbands, about our personal private matters in our marriage to our friends. It is devastating to them. And it goes without saying how disrespectful we are. And I had to see this about myself too, is how disrespectful we are to talk about the problems and issues that go on behind closed doors to our girlfriends and painting our husbands as the bad guy. It doesn't feel good. It's not constructive. As somebody said in the chat, you're not, if your friend or your girlfriend lets you constantly vent and complain about your marriage and the other problems in your life and your husband, she's not a real friend. A true friend holds us accountable to not stay stuck, to not perpetuate our pain and enable us in our emotional pain. A true friend would say, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? Or a true friend might say, okay, well, but what would his side of the story be? What did you do? What's your part and role? What happens when we vent to our girlfriends about our marriage and husband specifically is what we're doing is it's a long-term strategy of creating the story of why we're so miserable in our marriages or why we're so unhappy in our marriage and how our husband is responsible and what he's been doing or not doing to create the problems and create our unhappiness. And in this long-term strategy, we build a coalition of people who are on our side, have our back, and see our husband as the bad guy and the problem, so that we always are validated and enabled in that story, so that if we decide to leave, we have that support around us and that coalition of people. And if we don't leave, again, we always have a coalition of people to validate and enable our stories to make our husbands the bad guy. And again, it's devastating to our husbands that we would do that to them. It is so disrespectful. The third type of venting that is emasculating is venting about the issues and problems in your marriage to your husband's mother. Venting to your mother-in-law about the issues and problems in your marriage. And again, we're building a case against our husbands to their mother, so she's on our side. And she takes our side in the marriage as opposed to her son's. Again, it goes without saying how disrespectful it is that we would go to our mother-in-law, air our private issues to her, and then give her ammo to make her son wrong and see him as the problem. And then she takes it upon herself to insert herself into the marriage to micromanage her grown son. I can remember when I used to do this many, many, many years ago. I figured this one out pretty quick relative to some other things. But I remember also feeling this, it was like a strategy. Well, if I share with my mother-in-law, or before I met my husband, in a previous relationship, if I share with the mother, maybe she'll whip him into shape. Maybe he won't listen to me about what I think he needs to change that would make me happy, but maybe he'll listen to his mother. So it's just this really cruel strategy. And then we're giving her ammo for her to be upset with her son, for her to try to micromanage her grown son and put herself into his marriage and into his life. I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory when we take a step back and look at how disrespectful it is to go to our mother-in-laws and build a case about our husbands against them. And again, so she has our side in the marriage, or she has our side if we choose to leave. And then we'll make it her son's fault that the marriage didn't work out. Those are the three types of venting that are emasculating. Just venting to your husband about your issues and problems in general. venting to your girlfriends, and venting to your mother-in-law. And we have to be able to see how unhealthy it is, ladies, that we vent and complain and commiserate in the first place, and how destructive that is to our own sense of confidence and security to solve issues and problems in our lives, and how unhealthy and destructive it is to our husbands and to our marriage. And so I hope as women we are seeing this, and I hope the men listening are kind of coming out of the brainwashing that this is somehow your responsibility or duty as a husband in your marriage. Hello again. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. For those women listening who know you are the problem and want a path forward to take responsibility to change your own inner turmoil and unhappiness, I have a course for women called the Happiness Program, which is the solution to the unhealthy relationship you have with yourself and the issues and challenges that you have in your life and your marriage. You can find the link in the description below to schedule a free consultation with me. And for the good men listening who want a solution to take back the power you have unknowingly given away to your wife, I have a course for you too called the Marriage Rescue Program for Good Men Only that teaches you how to rebuild your strength and confidence as a good man so that you can navigate the relationship you have with your wife in a healthy, constructive way. Again, you can find the link below in the description to schedule a free consultation with me. Thank you so much, and I look forward to talking with you soon.